Have you ever wondered if you could spot the signs when a woman is being unfaithful? The truth is, infidelity is not just a man's story. Women cheat too, and they often do it so subtly that 85% of men are completely unaware. Does this surprise you? It's a hard truth to accept, but today I'm here to help you change that. Women have a very different way of expressing themselves when they're cheating. There are words, actions, and even small details that are full of hidden meanings, and if you don't know how to read them, you can easily miss these signs. In today's video, we will not only decode the complex psychology behind women's infidelity, but also learn exactly what phrases they might use to hide the truth. But don't let this make you feel powerless. Instead, see this as an opportunity to equip yourself with knowledge, not to be suspicious, but to understand better. Protect yourself and your relationship. And if you want to continue receiving valuable advice to enhance your understanding of love and relationships, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications now. I promise that each video will bring you a fresh perspective and the power to navigate the most difficult situations. And before we begin, ask yourself, if these words have appeared in your relationship, are you ready to face them and change the way you approach it? Be prepared, because this information may change the way you view a relationship forever. Now, let's jump into the first quote and decode the truth you need to know today. Number 1, you're imagining things. When women use this phrase, it's often not just a defensive reaction, but a subtle tactic to dismiss suspicion and distract you. The female psychology in this case can be quite complex. She wants to diffuse the tension and make you feel that all your suspicions are just unfounded fantasies. However, this can also be a way to manipulate your mind, make you doubt your own perception, and at the same time, protect your true behavior. This phrase creates a psychological reversal, making you the one who has to explain your feelings of insecurity, while she takes the proactive position, seemingly being questioned for no reason. This is a way for her to evade responsibility without having to directly answer the questions. If you continue to question, she may see it as evidence that you are overly sensitive or controlling, increasing your guilt instead of focusing on her behavior. This tactic can be very effective if you are not steadfast, as it creates a feeling that you are overreacting without good reason. It is important to recognize that if this phrase is used frequently, it can be a warning sign that she is trying to hide something instead of actually reassuring you. In this situation, confidence and the ability to analyze objectively are key for you to understand the situation and not be manipulated by these seemingly harmless words. If you find this video interesting, show your support by commenting with the number 0. If not, just click the like button and I'll be happy. Thank you. Number 2, he understands me so well. While it may seem like a light-hearted statement, it actually carries a longing for understanding and connection, something she may no longer feel from you. With her sensitive and profound nature, she is always seeking a soul connection in her relationships. When she mentions another man with admiration and affection, it may reflect that she has found in him the sharing, understanding, and feeling of respect that she is lacking. Initially, this may just be casual conversations, unintentional confessions, but over time, an invisible thread of spiritual connection can gradually deepen, feeling other people's connection, which gradually deepened. Feeling people's conversation, feeling alive. Put yourself in her shoes. Is it because you are too preoccupied with work or other concerns that you have inadvertently neglected her? Have you ever not paid attention to the small signals she sends? A slightly sad look, a hesitant voice, or the times she proactively shares but doesn't receive empathy? The moments she needs a shoulder to lean on, maybe you weren't there. Comparison, even if she doesn't intend it, is a dangerous sign. When she says, "He really understands me," you don't. It's not just a reproach, but a cry for help. That's when you need to stop, Look back at the relationship and ask yourself if you are truly with her or just existing by her side without connection. Don't let jealousy or ego cloud her judgment. Instead, talk to her frankly. Find out what made her feel lonely in her own love. Emotional infidelity is powerfully destructive, sometimes even more painful than physical infidelity. It's like an underground stream silently eroding the foundation of a relationship, so that by the time you realize it, it may be too late. A woman doesn't seek connection elsewhere if she feels understood and valued in her current relationship. Therefore, don't let her silent admiration for another person become an unbridgeable distance. Take action today. Spend more time listening to her, not just what she says, but also the emotions hidden behind those words. Pay attention to the little things in her life. Show that you are truly paying attention and walking alongside her. Don't forget to express your love and appreciation, not through far-fetched promises, but through sincere actions in every moment. Let her feel that you are the one who understands her best, the one she can trust, share with, and lean on. Stronger connections have been shown. Let the phrase, "he understands me so well," not be a complaint, but an affirmation about you, the man she trusts and loves deeply. Number 3. Don't worry, I'm just going out with some friends. It sounds light, familiar, and completely harmless. In any healthy relationship, it's normal, even necessary, for a person to need time for friends and other personal relationships. But if you pay close attention, sometimes this phrase can be the perfect cover for things she doesn't want you to discover. When she's hiding something, she often relies on little white lies, explanations that sound very reasonable and hard to refute. This phrase creates a sense of reassurance for you, making you believe there's nothing suspicious. However, the problem lies in the frequency and consistency of her story. Once this phrase is repeated too often without specific details, or the stories start to become vague, it can be a sign of concealment. Imagine this scenario. She tells you she's going out with friends, which doesn't make you suspicious at all because she's always had such outings before. But gradually you notice she doesn't share details like she used to. Answers like, just some girlfriends without specific names, no fun anecdotes from the meeting that she used to excitedly tell. She even spends more time texting on her phone, but avoids letting you see it. These small signs accumulate, creating a picture you can't ignore. This seemingly simple phrase is also strategic. It puts you in a position to choose, either trust or appear controlling. By saying, "Don't worry," she makes you feel that if you doubt, you are the one with a problem. This is a subtle form of manipulation, reducing your confidence and increasing her freedom. Remember, the truth lies in what is not said. If you sense changes in her behavior, from the way she communicates, the vagueness in details, to her paying too much attention to her phone, your intuition is not wrong. A relationship is based on transparency and trust. When those factors are broken, don't ignore the small signals she unintentionally or intentionally sends. They are the pieces for you to see the whole picture. Number 4. I have to work late tonight. This statement sounds perfectly reasonable, right? Everyone needs to put in extra time for work at some point, especially when work pressure increases. However, when this phrase starts to repeat itself suspiciously or is used as an explanation without transparency, it may be a sign you need to pay attention to. Women, when they want to hide something, often choose excuses that are easily accepted and less suspicious. Working late is one of the most common ways to evade, both reasonable and difficult to refute. But if you notice the frequency with which she says this increases, or the accompanying details become vague, it could be a sign of something deeper. Pay attention to the consistency in her story. When you ask about the reason for working late, does she provide specific information about the project or urgent deadline? Or does she answer superficially, like, just some small things? Someone truly busy with work will often share details or their feelings of stress because it helps them relieve it. On the contrary, if she avoids or becomes defensive, it may indicate that she is hiding something from you. Observe her attitude after these working late sessions. A long workday usually leaves people exhausted, but if she returns in an unusually relaxed mood, full of energy, you should question it. Small changes in her behavior, avoiding eye contact, indifference in communication, or lack of interest in the relationship, can be signs that you shouldn't ignore. The most important thing is your intuition. In a relationship, when you feel something is wrong, that feeling is usually not wrong. If her explanations start to create more doubt than relief, trust your instincts. A healthy relationship needs openness and honesty. When these factors begin to waver, it's time for you to face reality, even if it can be difficult. Remember that the truth can be hidden behind the most familiar actions. Working late may just be an excuse, but if that excuse becomes a cover for distance, you need to ask yourself, is this really about work, or is it a way for her to hide a truth you need to know? Number 5, I need some space for myself. A gentle phrase, soft as a breeze, that makes you mistakenly believe she simply craves a little freedom, a little privacy in a busy life. But my friend, don't be fooled by its appearance. Beneath the layer of delicate words, there may be hidden intentions that you can't even imagine. Women, considered masters at concealing emotions, can be incredibly transformative in love. They can use reasonable words, justifiable reasons, to create a smokescreen to mislead you. Space, in this case, is not space for her to improve herself, but an opportunity for her to avoid you, to avoid the relationship that is making her feel suffocated. Ask yourself, if she truly wants time to reflect, to look back at the relationship, why doesn't she open up and share honestly with you? Is she facing troubles that she doesn't want you to know? Or has another figure interfered with her affections? Physical distance is the easiest thing to notice. She rarely spends time with you, often away from home with vague excuses. But even more frightening is the emotional distance. She no longer shares joys and sorrows with you, no longer seeks comfort or solace from you. There seems to be an invisible wall between the two of you, making the feelings grow colder. Space in this case is the sweet trap she uses to cover up the harsh truth. She is gradually slipping away from your arms and may be heading towards a new destination. Leah took the better part of a second to think about. Number 6, I think we need to spend some time apart. This phrase echoes in the silence of the relationship, carrying both a sense of reason and hidden undercurrents that you can hardly recognize. At first glance, it seems like a legitimate request, aiming to provide the necessary space for both of you to breathe, to look back at yourselves and the relationship. But my friend, don't rush to say yes. Pause for a moment, observe more closely, and listen to your own intuition. In a healthy relationship, it's normal and necessary for both people to give each other personal space. But if this request comes unexpectedly, without any prior signs or conversation leading up to it, you need to ask yourself, is this really a desire for reflection or just a way to avoid responsibility? Women sometimes use this phrase as a subtle way to create distance in the relationship without having to directly confront the issue. This could be an indication of dissatisfaction, or worse, a way to test life without you in it. When this request appears without a clear reason, or is not accompanied by frank discussions about problems in the relationship, you need to pay attention to other signals. Notice if she becomes less communicative, more frequently absent, or shows emotional distance. These changes can be signs that she is seeking space to avoid you, or even to explore another relationship that you are unaware of. It's important to listen to both what she says and what she doesn't say. When someone truly wants to improve a relationship, they will face and solve problems with you. But if space is offered as an excuse to avoid, Instead of a sincere effort to heal, you need to seriously question the true intention behind those words. Don't let yourself be swept up in guilt or think that you are at fault when she asks for distance. Trust your intuition. If you feel that this statement is not simply about privacy but a sign of distance, be bold and find out the cause. A lasting relationship is built on honesty and trust, not on distances created by ambiguity or avoidance of responsibility. When you realize that the distance is not temporary but an implied breakup, be prepared to face the truth, even if it can be painful. Number 7. You deserve someone better than me. This phrase sounds like a sincere confession, stemming from the insecurity or guilt of a woman who feels she's not good enough. But beneath that veneer of vulnerability, this statement is sometimes a subtle tool to deflect or alleviate guilt about her own actions. This is not just an expression of self-doubt or a sign of compassion. In reality, this phrase may hide an intention to divert your emotions from the real problems existing in the relationship. By focusing on her not being good enough, she prevents you from questioning her recent behaviors, which could be distance, coldness, or even signs of infidelity. This can also be a way for her to justify her choices, especially if she has another connection, even just emotionally. By saying, "You deserve someone better than me," she's trying to soften the pain you might feel if things fall apart. It's like a prelude, a way to prepare you mentally before the truth is revealed. She wants you to believe that things are ending because she's not good enough, not because her actions have harmed the relationship. In some cases, this statement is also a silent confession that she realizes she has done wrong. But instead of directly confronting the problems and taking responsibility, she uses it as an emotional shield. If you believe she truly feels guilty, you may be drawn into reassuring her instead of questioning the changes in her behavior. This is the subtle power of this phrase. It puts you on the defensive instead of allowing you to assess the situation objectively. Be wary of such words. If this phrase appears along with distant behavior, lack of transparency, or changes in the way she interacts with you, this may be the time you need to listen more, not just to words but also to actions and underlying signals. A lasting relationship is based on honesty and open dialogue, not on cleverly disguised excuses. End of section. When a woman says, "You deserve someone better than me," ask yourself if this is really sincere self-doubt or a way for her to hide something she's not ready to admit. Your intuition is the most powerful tool in these situations. Don't ignore the feelings of unease in your heart. They may be guiding you to the truth you need to know. Number 8. I don't want to talk about this. This statement may seem like a way for a woman to refuse or avoid an uncomfortable topic. However, when spoken in the context of suspicion, this phrase often carries more layers of meaning than its simple appearance. It could be a sign that she is trying to hide something, or at least feels uncomfortable facing the truth. Women, when deceiving, are often very subtle in how they cover up their emotions and behavior. They may use silence, avoidance, or defensive reactions to control the conversation and reduce pressure on themselves. "I don't want to talk about this" can stem from a fear of being exposed or from insecurity about facing questions they are not prepared to answer. The psychology behind this statement is often quite complex. On the one hand, it can be resistance to protect privacy or keep secrets they are hiding. On the other hand, it can also be a sign of helplessness, a way to avoid facing feelings of guilt, stress, or loss of control. By saying this, she shifts the focus of the conversation from the actual problem to controlling the context, making you feel like you are disrespecting boundaries instead of clarifying the truth. It's worth noting that this phrase doesn't always carry negative intentions. Women can also genuinely feel pressured or believe that dialogue at this point will not bring positive results. However, if this phrase is repeated frequently when you ask questions related to sensitive issues, or if she avoids unusually, it could be a sign of concealment or avoidance of responsibility. Pay attention to the context and her reaction when she says this. Does she avoid your gaze? Is her voice tense or rushed? Small actions like changing the subject or leaving the conversation can be indicators that she doesn't want you to go deeper. This statement, though short, contains deep psychological currents. It can be a way to protect herself or an attempt to control the situation. Number 9. Why don't you trust me? This phrase sounds like a hurt accusation, but in the context of suspicion, it often hides more layers of meaning. It is a defensive statement, not only to shift the focus away from the speaker, but also to place the emotional burden on the other person. When women use this phrase, it can be a sign of concealment, psychological manipulation, or an attempt to protect a secret they don't want you to discover. When faced with suspicion, women often feel threatened. The phrase, "Why don't you trust me?" is a way to distract you from the real question. Instead of answering or explaining, she redirects the conversation, turning the attention from her actions to your lack of trust. This not only interrupts the flow of the story, but also makes you feel guilty, as if your suspicion is a wrongdoing and hurtful to her. Moreover, this question is emotionally manipulative, making you question yourself. Am I being too suspicious, or have I hurt her? Meanwhile, she may be taking advantage of the guilt this statement causes to avoid giving a straightforward answer. This is especially effective if you have been distrustful or have had false suspicions in the past. However, this phrase is not always a tactic of concealment. Sometimes it truly stems from hurt when she feels suspected without good reason. Women often value trust in a relationship, and when it is shaken, they may feel insecure and sad. But to distinguish between sincerity and concealment, you need to pay attention to the context and her accompanying reaction. Observe whether she avoids giving an explanation. If this statement is accompanied by a strong defensive attitude, avoidance, or she quickly changes the subject, it could be a sign that she is trying to cover something up. Conversely, if she is calm, willing to talk and explain clearly, then perhaps she just feels truly hurt by your suspicion. If you feel something is wrong, be patient and gently address the issue. Open and sincere communication will be the only way to clarify any misunderstandings and strengthen your relationship. When a relationship faces unusual signs, recognizing and understanding them is not only an act of self-protection, but also a way for you to respect your own worth. Seemingly harmless phrases like, "You're overthinking it," or "You deserve someone better than me," not only reflect the complexity of women's psychology, but also reveal undercurrents that may be pushing the relationship away. The important thing is not to be suspicious or controlling, but to equip yourself with the sensitivity and wisdom to recognize when the relationship needs to be re-examined. Remember that a lasting relationship is built on a foundation of honesty, open communication, and trust. If you feel that your partner's words or actions no longer reflect sincerity, don't hesitate to ask questions or seek the truth. You deserve a relationship where both people are making an effort, not a hidden battle to find answers to things left unsaid. Always listen to your intuition, because sometimes it is the voice of truth. And above all, never lose your self-worth in any relationship. Move forward with confidence, stronger with each lesson you learn, because what you truly deserve is a love that is fulfilling, honest, and lasting.